sanctions were applied on Qatar, the country already started a diversification plan for its economy, because obviously there is a risk on relying completely on one sector. In case of Doha, it's energy, and in particular with the gas. So they started to diversify and invest more in tourism, in air traffic, in pharmaceutical. They would like to develop it's another sector in manufacturing. So that's why they are creating a special economic zone and try to convince companies from other countries to come and produce there. Education is another sector, and this sector was developed historically from Qatar Foundation. And the strategy was to create a university locally and to attract universities from other countries, like Georgetown, Cornell, Virginia, and so on, mainly from UK and US. Going back to the dairy sector, one of the main risks that you have as a country, can be true for Qatar and for the other countries as well, is the fact that the geography does not allow you to have a strong agricultural sector. Hence, you are obliged to import things, goods from other countries. But this means that you are vulnerable, and this has been shown in June even, when obviously Qatar had to reroute his imports that were mainly coming from Saudi Emirates. So now there are new shipping routes. Yeah, they can develop all of these sectors. Tourism is a good source of income, and that's why in the last few months they released the restriction to enter into the country. So there are many countries that now, many people from different countries that now can enter Doha without the visa. So this obviously was done to push the tourism sector, which is good because it's a source of income. On the other side, the tourism sector, and that's true for Qatar, but for other countries, usually does not create too many jobs or does not create stable jobs, because there are high season, low season. So very often the tourism creates temporary jobs, but they're always, it's always a source of good income directly for the sector, but also for indirectly for other industries in the country, because again it creates liquidity. In case of education, as we said before, the effort was mainly done by Qatar Foundation with the creation of the university and attracting the foreign universities. In terms of diversification, the big effort also was done by the Qatar Special Economic Zone, again with the idea to attract manufacturing companies in Qatar and produce locally, both for the domestic market and for the international market. The transshipment hub in the region is Jebel Ali, and this position has been reached after many years and with a lot of investments. Qatar had to speed up the operation and the opening of the Hamad port because there was a need, obviously, to import the products, because in general what happens is that the products arrive in Jebel Ali and then they're distributed in the region. Since the sanctions are closing this route, Qatar obviously had to rely on its own port. So the port at the moment has the main goal to serve the domestic market. Eventually it can become an hub for the region, but that's not the case at the moment. At the moment, the need is to secure the imports and make sure there are direct routes to countries in Europe, in Asia, in Africa, and so on, to import the goods. In terms of geographical location, for sure, this location, it helps not just for the port, but also for the airplanes, because within 7 hours you can probably reach 2/3 of the world. in 7 hours you can go from Doha, Dubai to London to Singapore. 5 hours you're in Moscow. In 5-7 hours you're in South Africa. So it's a very great location. And also in terms of timing, you can cover easily the rest of the world. Yeah, in this case, the different airline companies, Etihad, Emirates, Qatar Airways, they compete on the price, on the service. Obviously, the geographic location does not represent an edge because, I mean, they are within, a few hundred kilometers, so that there's not much difference. But people choose one company or the other one based on the competitive price or the service. And that's why these, in general, are the best airline companies in the world. Among the different rankings that you can see, you can read, in general, they are always on top of these rankings. And you can see a lot of tourists going from Asia to Africa through Middle East, or going through Middle East to reach Europe, and on the other way, from Europe, Africa, going to Asia. Many people do the stopover. And that's true for the people, but also for the cargos. Qatar and Turkey had a stronger relationship even before 5 June. And this relationship has been strengthened even after the sanctions were imposed. So Turkey can provide, obviously, the political backup to Doha, the diplomatic help in the international relations, and also additional trade. Like, for example, now there is a new route that goes from Doha to Turkey via Iran, and that was done in order to replace the route to Saudi and Emirates, because now it's closed. So the relationship is even stronger. Turkey has also military troops based in Qatar. So you have an alliance on different levels, politically, diplomatic level, military, and financially. Technically, Qatar can also send gas to Turkey. The Kafala system is basically the system that regulates the contracts between the employers and the employees. For sure, the World Cup has attracted a lot of attention to the Gulf and to Qatar in particular, and this continuous pressure has basically allowed to remove some of the parts that were very strict in the Kafala system, and slowly this will be implemented. So for sure the World Cup has played an important role in changing the Kafala system. Yeah, initially obviously was a negative image for Qatar, because Qatar was accused of abusing human rights through the Kafala system and so on. So there was a lot of pressure. And now, international organization realized all the efforts that Qatar has made in order to remove, as I said, some parts of this system that were, very highly contested.